Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's real estate authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, that's okay. You can always pick it up on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or go ahead and search for Barb. You'll find her on most podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of your largest assets, your home. So, Barb, what are we talking about today?
Well, I'm excited, as always, Richard, about today's show because we're going to talk about some things that really impact people the most. I mean, the biggest stressor in people's lives is moving, and that's really what we're in the business of doing, is helping people move to the next place that they're going to live, either selling or buying. And the very first topic we're going to talk about, which seems to be on folks' mind now, is what's going on with rates. Should I wait to go on the market if the rates drop? Should I wait to buy if the rates drop? So we're going to kind of deep dive into the actual numbers that are happening, and we'll give you some tips on what to do in any market. So that's titled, Should You Wait to Sell Your Home When the Mortgage Rates Drop? And then the next topic is one of my favorite topics. It's about inspection. In fact, how to pass your home inspection if you're selling your home. And I think a lot of people are not aware that in the state of Colorado, there's no license or oversight for home inspectors. So you never know what you're going to get. If it makes you feel any better, they get an online certification. But that's not even required. The only thing they do license nowadays is testing for radon levels in a house, but not the rest of it. So we'll talk about how a home seller can prepare for their home inspection and just be ahead of any problems. It really helps a lot if you don't have to worry about the biggest thing that causes contracts to fail, which are home inspections. And then the third topic is something that pretty much everybody can use, whether they're buying or selling. We're going to talk about credit and what are the main factors that affect your credit, especially when you're buying a home. Credit's actually used for almost everything. Even if you go to a hotel and rent a hotel room, did you know, Richard, that they're going to run a credit check on you if you use a debit card?
No, no, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
they will do a credit check. So it's kind of interesting. So having a good credit score is really, really helpful. And a lot of people just don't know how to do it, especially if they have no credit or if they've had a bad history in the past, they don't know how to recover. So we're going to talk about some ways that you can improve your score, and some are really, really easy and fast. And the last subject is how to sell your house fast for cash and avoid repairs and avoid showings. I have more and more people opting to do that these days for various reasons. They don't want to get their house fixed up for sale. They don't want to deal with showings. Maybe they have a family status where it's just too hard to corral the whole family, kids and dogs and the whole thing. So a lot of people are opting for these cash offer options. And the big mystery, I think, for folks is they're assuming that basically when you accept a cash offer, that's going to be a lowball offer. And that's just not the case, at least not with us. So we'll deep dive into that. And I'm looking forward to it. Richard?
So, Barb, we're heading into this fall winter season. The Fed seems uncertain about lowering interest rates while the demand is lower than it was last year. So, what do you think is going to happen to the real estate market in the coming months?
Well, a lot of people assume that the Fed's move on rates directly impacts mortgage rates, and it really doesn't all the time. In fact, the last little Fed adjustment caused our mortgage rates to go up a little bit. So it's like apples and oranges to me. And generally it's based on the bond market, which, only the financial people really track. At the end of the day, there are ways that you can get around problems with the rates being high. They're actually not that bad. When I started in the business back in the 90s, at the time, the rates were pretty close to 9%. And very quickly, within about a year or two, the rates started dropping and they went down to 7. And I remember my broker doing the happy dance going, oh my gosh, we haven't seen rates as low as 7 since the 60s, right? Well, we're below that now. I think the rates, as I checked this morning, are about 6.3% conventional and maybe just below 6 for the government loans, FHA and VA. And at the end of the day, buyers are buying homes based on whether or not they can afford the payment. So even if you're selling like a higher end home, there is kind of a trickle up effect when you're selling a house, because whoever's buying your home could be a first-time home buyer or a move-up buyer, and that move-up buyer needs a first-time buyer to buy their house. So there's quite a few buyers that are just kind of sitting around waiting for the rates to fall. A lot of people have this idea that maybe it's going to drop back down to 2 and 3%. I don't think we'll ever see that happen in our lifetime. And some of the sellers and the builders and people like that are really winning on that topic are ones that will offer some kind of buy down on the interest rate to make the home more affordable. So that's a really good idea. So that's why no matter what time of year you're selling, I wouldn't really even worry about the season. You need to make sure when your home goes on the market, it's the best home for the best price. That is the way you get the most money. I don't care what's going on in the market. I sell homes. I've sold homes during the meltdown. I've worked with buyers during the meltdown. I've sold homes when we were flying high and everybody was bidding on homes. That's actually harder for buyers and easier for sellers. But now we're tilting the other way, where it's really leaning towards a buyer's market. It's kind of right on the edge. So you can't really do anything about mortgage rates at this time, but what you can do is take a look around at what's available and try to position the home to be the best in your category. So current statistics for the different counties, not a big surprise, because a lot of what we're seeing is the prices are dropping, the days on market are increasing. Right now, days on market in El Paso County are up to 97 days. That's pretty high. I haven't seen it that high in a long time. But the number of available homes are dipping, and more than 55% of the home sellers after they go on the market are lowering their price. In other words, they're testing a historic price that was higher. It's not working. Now they got to bring the house down in order to get it sold. Douglas County is pretty similar. Average days on market, 93 days. Prices averaging there at $829,000. El Paso County definitely is more affordable than Douglas County by far. I think the average sales price right now in El Paso County is $535,000. And Teller County, very, very similar in terms of El Paso County in terms of price. It's been flat in the last month or so. The average days on market up there, 91 days. And typically the prime selling season up there is summer and fall. And up there, we're seeing over half the sellers lower their price as well. A lot fewer homes in Teller County for sale. And Pueblo, kind of more of the same. Pueblo's had a relatively flat market. The average days on market up there over 108, and just less than half the sellers are lowering their price. So what do you do in a flat market? How do you win no matter what the market is? And the way you do it is you first prepare the home as best you can, and you price it very realistically according to how you're going to present the home. As an example, I've got homes that I put on the market that were just slightly below full market value. They needed work. We knew that. The sellers didn't want to put the work in, and boom, they sold for full price or over asking price right away. So it's all about positioning. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about whether or not home sellers should wait to sell their home and wait for the mortgage rates to drop. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some tips on what home sellers can do and what they can expect to see in these market conditions. If you are thinking of making a move, give us a call. We'd love to be one of the agents up for opportunity to have you consider us sell the home. We know how to help sellers in any kind of market. I've been in this business now since 1996. It's been a long time, Richard. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it right around the same period of time. I came actually a couple of years later, about 97, I believe. I came over from KKTV from being a television anchor. So quite a while.
Yeah, quite a long time. I've seen a lot of things in my experience. I've collected thousands of buyers just in my database of buyers in waiting. Typically, I can find over 1,000 buyers that have indicated online that they're searching for a home like yours, and I can market directly to them. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
So, Barb, we're discussing the Fed's recent increase on that Fed borrowing rate and whether or not it has an effect on the housing market. So, what should home sellers expect and do in a market situation just like this one?
Well, this market indicates there are more sellers competing for fewer buyers. So eventually it's going to have an impact on prices if the homes don't sell. Um, but you can always win in any kind of market if you price it what I call very realistically. And make sure you repair obvious stuff because there are a lot of buyers. First of all, your first showing is online. So if it's very obvious that the home needs work, you're going to wipe out about 40% plus of those buyers because most buyers don't have the cash, the resources, the time to remodel a home. But if it's a good buy in a place that they want to be, there are some buyers that will kind of come out of that thought process and go, okay, I think, I could do my own carpet. I could hire my own carpet. I could get that great deal in that neighborhood. Maybe we'll do it. So pricing is absolutely critical. And the photos are absolutely critical. 99% of the homes are eliminated based on the online presentation. It's kind of like online dating. You have to get that right. And if you're a buyer right now, I would not wait around at all for prices and the rates to drop because we don't know what's going to happen. It's been relatively flat for the last couple of years. There's still a high demand to be in Colorado. In fact, I just read an article this week that there's an increase in the number of younger millennial age people moving to Colorado. So for sellers, you need to make sure you hire an agent that's really, really good at presenting your home the best it could be, both with pricing and imagery online. And, years ago when I started, the typical buyer would have to physically go look at the home. Now, I do recommend that as much as they can. It could be very deceiving. Pictures can be very deceiving. But back when I started, the pictures were non-existent. They use a paper book to find out what homes were available, maybe with one black and white picture. So then the average buyer probably physically went in and looked at possibly 40 homes. I think my record was 127 with one buyer. But at the end of the day, they're not doing that anymore. They're deciding as to whether or not they're going to spend their gas money to go look at your home based on that online presentation. That's why you really have to scrutinize that and kind of pretend that you're not the owner of the home and go, would I go look at that home based on how it was presented to the market? So now buyers are only looking at a handful of homes before they're making an offer. I even get yelled at if my presentation exceeds what they thought when they get there. Like I have a few homes that are fixer-uppers on the market and they're priced that way. But unfortunately, other agents and or buyers may not understand the market well enough to know that, hey, this home is priced 100,000 under similar sales because it has this problem or that problem. I had one that I just sold that has some structural settling. great home overall, except the cracks in the drywall and the fact that in the basement, the trim around the doors is bowing out. But I didn't take a picture of that for marketing. So I got spoken to by a couple of buyers because they didn't want to waste their gas money looking at a home like that. So I changed the way I present it, and I just present the facts and say this home has some structural settling, might be covered by warranty. This seller, who is the VA, is going to offer it as is, and let them decide. And that worked really well. I actually got a lot of buyers to call, and we had a lot of discussions with them about it. So it's really important you hire the right agent that has the expertise and the experience so that you can win in the end. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, simply call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to pass your home inspection when you're selling your Colorado home. Stay tuned for that.